256.010, runway 1 right, cleared for takeoff. 1 right, clear to go, yeah, 256. Clear 4461, run right, left and white.
Hey everyone, and welcome to FlightCast, the one and only Infinite Flight podcast. Infinite Flight is a mobile flight simulator that you can download for Apple and Android devices, and we think it's the best. So much so that we decided to do an entire show about it. With me, as always, in the FlightCast virtual studio is Mr. Mark Skyhawk Heavy Denton. What's shaking, buddy?
What's going on, man? What's going on?
And as a special treat today, we also have Infinite Flight Irregular Joe O'Reilly. What's up, Joe?
What's up, man?
Guys, in less than 2 weeks, and Joe, I'm sorry, I have to talk about this. Mark, you and I will finally be able to meet in person.
Yep.
We are having our first annual, hopefully, Infinite Flight, I don't know, Mod Con? Whatever you want to call it.
I'll tell you what, I won't be missing the next one for the same reason I'm missing this one.
You don't think so, huh?
No.
Joe's family is expanding, and this would be really, really bad timing for him to take a flight somewhere.
Yes, it would.
Yeah,
He'll be there via Skype, so
that's true. Or FaceTime, right?
FaceTime.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're gonna walk around at our undisclosed location and city with Joe on FaceTime. So
Either way, that'll be the first time I'm on either platform with clothes on.
well, there's a first time for everything.
And the thing that's going to be great about Joe joining us for that weekend is the fact with him on FaceTime or Skype, we can actually hit mute.
Oh,
You know,
we can just watch him chasing his children back and forth across the screen.
I just hope Mark is more involved with you guys there than he ever is with Slack or anything like that.
Well, if he's not in a coma,
well,
I'm sure he will be.
Yeah.
yeah.
So for listeners who are just tuning in and aren't sure what in the world we're talking about, on Sunday, September 25th, FlightCast will be live on Facebook. So make sure you mark your calendars down. If you haven't liked our Facebook page yet, please go to facebook.com/FlightCastAudio and do that. We'll create an event so that you can be reminded as well. And so just to fill you in, we're going to be live on Facebook for our interview. We're not going to be, it'll be just a regular, probably an iPhone or something, doing the audio for that. We will be recording using our recording software and microphones and stuff for the podcast, which we'll still edit and release on the regular day. But if you want to tune in and kind of see the behind the scenes look of the episode being recorded at our undisclosed location and city, then we can say that it's going to be in America. You can watch that live on Facebook.
Down.
Yeah. And so
it's going to be between the ponds.
Between the ponds, that's right. So the guest list for this podcast so far looks like Mark and I, and of course Joe on FaceTime. Stephen Wilson's going to be there. We have a 777 pilot, our friend Heavy Driver Melvin will be there. We've got A320 First Officer Jared Hodge there as well. U.S. Air Force Air Traffic Controller and Infinite Flight staff member and ATC Community Manager Tyler Shelton will be there. And
he's the only reason we can't have business cards because of all of his freaking titles.
That's right. We won't be able to fit all that on a business card. And possibly even, and fingers crossed, Infinite Flight developer Laura Laban will join us as well. So super excited about that. Joe will even let you talk on the podcast about that.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
I really hope this isn't rubbing salt in the wounds, but I had to mention it to our listeners.
No, hey, it's one of those things where it's not like I have a choice in the matter.
Yeah.
So,
well, we'll miss you.
Yeah, I'll be there in spirit. And
what's going to be great is the fact that this is also going to mark. Oh, well, I was going to anyway. You know, this is going to mark. This will actually be the weekend, about a week after the 2-year anniversary of Infinite Flight Live.
Ooh, nice.
Yep.
Yes, you're right, because Live came out while I was vacationing in Jamaica almost 2 years ago, so you're right.
Yep.
Yes.
So that's pretty cool.
Awesome. So like I said, we'll release the edited version of the interview just on our normal release date. And so also make sure to follow FlightCast on Instagram for updates. as our mod meetup goes on that weekend. I'm sure Infinite Flight and Skyhawk Heavy will also be snapping pics as we go. So
absolutely,
make sure you follow all of us on Instagram and join in on the fun. It's gonna be good. That's in 2 weeks. Oh, a week and a half.
Looking forward to it,
actually.
man. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
So, Mark, what have you got for us in terms of Infinite Flight pilot community updates this week? I think you were continuing on with the METAR videos, correct?
Correct. We're getting to the end of those. I think I've got a couple of more, maybe one more for the METARs, and then, of course, that'll segue into the TAFs. And also have been working on recording a couple of takeoff and landing videos for some of the aircraft that we have as well. So just been editing all of those.
Anything else kind of going on the anything from the Infinite Flight world that you can fill us in on these days? We've got new aircraft coming out.
Yeah, we got a new aircraft coming out. Philippe had touched base a little bit on that when he was on, but of course still unable to disclose the aircraft.
All right, well,
I thought we already disclosed what it was.
No, it's just not an airliner. That's all we know.
Yep,
it's a blimp.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, the blimp.
Is it a blimp? That's one
look
of
on
my favorite joke
quotes. Speaking of LiveFlight, you can see it flying around.
There we go. Maybe we should ask Cam that later on.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Cool. All right, let's introduce the guest for this week. This guy is no stranger to the FlightCast virtual studio, and at only 17 years old, he's developed several apps, including the one that many of us use frequently as a companion to Infinite Flight, and one that we're always happy to promote on the podcast, LiveFlight. Cameron Carmichael Alonso was one of the first FlightCast guests and is back to chat with us on the back of the launch of the new version of LiveFlight. We're now also anticipating the release of LiveFlight for iOS. Cam, welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So Cam, why don't we go back right to the start for those who haven't listened to your first episode? And by the way, folks, if you're listening and you haven't, I would encourage you to just go right back to the start. We're only 30 episodes in, so if you're on a long drive, what better way than to listen to the soothing tones of Mark and Joe and myself chat with
and Tyler.
people.
You can't forget Tyler.
Can't forget Tyler. Tyler was my first guest. Anyway, we digress. So Cam, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how you got into developing apps.
Well, I'm Cameron. Most of you probably know me. I'm on the Infinite Flight forums as a moderator. I'm 17, originally from London, but I'm now living out in Mallorca in Spain. So yeah, I've lived in London for around 13 years before I decided to make the move, and I'm living out here now and can't really complain. So started developing apps. Well, I've always had a passion for technology, so I always liked experimenting. Just since a young age, whenever I had a bit of time, just play about with HTML and front page back in the day, and I left it for a bit. And it was around when I was 13, I decided to just properly give it a go and try and see if I could teach myself how to code. And from there, I built a property app called Shortlist Home, which is still on the App Store today. Doesn't really work properly.
Shocking.
That's one for Joe.
Shocker.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, that was a good place where I started to learn about making apps, design, releasing, and all of that. And well, I've been busy with school the past few years, but in between then, I've mainly been working on LiveFlight, which most of you know is a flight tracker for Infinite Flight Live. It's free to use, and it's currently available on any web browser, so you can use it on your iPhone, your Android phone, or as most people do, on their PCs.
Awesome.
So that's the commercial that Jason and I recorded.
Yeah, Mark, you know how we advertise for this thing every week on the podcast, or every 2 weeks?
Yeah.
This is the guy.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
I'm with you now.
Yeah.
Joe, Mark, if you want an autograph later, I mean, you can speak with my PA. We can organize something.
Yeah, I doubt I'll ask for that.
Would that be Henry or Jennifer?
Well, Jennifer's disappeared into somewhere. We don't know where, and Henry is Henry. So yeah,
okay.
let's just leave it at that.
Henry's busy screwing up ILS numbers.
Probably, yeah. Well, he's on the forum now, so he's screwing that up too.
But if Cam tries to give an autograph, I'm sure the pen would either run out of ink or something would happen.
All right.
Wow.
Well, instead of continuing on with all these inside jokes, let's just continue on with the questions. So, Cam, what inspired the idea to build LiveFlight in the first place?
Well, it was started a couple of years ago when Laura posted a link to a small map she'd built, which was just showing a couple of markers on a map of where the beta testers of Infinite Flight Live back then were flying. And then from there, she released the API. I had been experimenting with it for a while on iOS to start with, just to get an idea of how you would actually build an app like this, because I'd been using Flight Radar and other apps before. And from there, the API went public suddenly, just without any warning. And I saw that Val had released his Android tracker that many of your listeners are probably familiar with. And I decided to have a go at just building a web version because the iOS version was pretty broken. Joe, no surprise? Okay,
None.
I was expecting that. Okay, so I just built a quick web version because I wanted to experiment with it because I'd read a lot about it and then see where I could go from there. So that was built in about a weekend, and yeah, it was being used for over a year before the update came.
And you said on the last episode too that you sort of wanted to try your hand at building something completely in JavaScript, right?
That was it. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'd used it in small bits before, so when I'd done websites for friends and that, like I would do a few small effects in JavaScript or do something like it would send an email from a contact form, but I wanted to do something proper, something that would actually provide some value. Yeah.
And so if I need to hire someone that knows the Google Maps API inside and out, you're the man.
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so
but my rates are probably too expensive for you though, so
it depends on if you want it to be functional.
Yeah, because every time I try to open up the KML file, I have to actually shut down Google Earth, and then I have to restart it. It's crazy.
Well, that's Google's problem.
Actually,
I'm still going to get it.
To respond to Joe, though, I actually this is getting a little into real life here. I hired Cam for a project recently, and the client is very happy, and so am I. So, and I could afford it. So how about that? Well, the client could anyway. Yeah.
Well, so exchange rate has changed.
Yeah. So let's chat a little bit about LiveFlight 2. And by the way, listeners who want more info on kind of the backstory of LiveFlight in general, go back and listen to episode 2, I think, right, Cam? I think it was the second episode. So we did we interviewed Tyler the first time. Yeah. So go back and listen to episode
2.0 or.
And guys, I've actually been thinking, just to digress a little bit, I've been thinking about doing a quick YouTube video on just my little podcast setup here. It's very simple, but a few people have been asking. So that I only say that to say when we started, I was literally using my phone to record my vocal, and then dumping it into GarageBand on my Mac and recording on Skype. So for the guests, so the quality in Cam's first episode is, it's pretty GarageBand. So excuse us for that, but the content is there definitely if you want to go back and listen. But anyway, so LiveFlight 2.0, is that what we're calling it, Cam?
Yeah, I could call it that. Just it's version 2, so yeah.
Sure. Or 2.15679. Whatever the
the actual version right now is something like 2.0.3964 or something like that.
Awesome.
So
2.pi.
Not quite.
So
that's a good idea. I should do that.
You launched that last month, right?
I launched
August?
it late July.
Okay, July 2016. And so there's a new feature that's a paid add-on. Tell us how that's gone so far.
Well, that's called LiveFlight Horizon. It's a subscription that's available for $1.99 a month. The idea is if you're an advanced Infinite Flight player and you really want to get the most out of it, LiveFlight Horizon will give you all the features for it. So as part of Horizon, you get access to LiveFlight with no adverts at all, and you're helping to support me make future things like the iOS version. And you're getting access to worldwide airport information, search, the KML files that Mark described earlier briefly, which basically allows you to view your flight in Google Earth with 3D flight tracks. It's quite cool. And
unless you're in the Spitfire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's down to the pilot. Wow. And and from there, hopefully some more coming in the iOS version as well. So it's, in my opinion, I think you're getting a lot for your money. And I think the important thing to bear in mind as well is that I've been using my own money for the past year, paying hosting, paying various other costs. So you're helping to support me and helping to support future development of it.
Yeah, beauty. Well, actually, Mark and I recorded a little ad to support LiveFlight 2.0, and we're talking about it, so let's roll it. Mark, have you heard of LiveFlight for Infinite Flight?
Yeah, man. I've used it to track flights and to see which regions and airports are busy before, planning my flight.
Right. Well, as you probably know, a new version of LiveFlight is now available at liveflightapp.com. This new version is better than ever and has been rebuilt from the ground up. With the new design, more flight stats, a search feature, and airport information, tracking and planning your flight is easier than ever.
Oh, man, I know. And now with the new downloadable KML files, you can download your flight data to any Earth browser, such as Google Earth. It's so cool.
Absolutely. And if that wasn't enough, you can now subscribe to LiveFlight Horizon, a new service for only $1.99 a month that provides real-time, worldwide airport information such as weather, runway data, and charts. It also allows you to search for flights, active ATC frequencies, and airports. And as a LiveFlight Horizon subscriber, you'll also get much longer online sessions, and you'll be helping Cam to keep developing and improving this great app.
So guys, make sure you head over to liveflightapp.com to give it a try, and also subscribe to LiveFlight Horizon. It will make your infinite flight experience so much better.
And now back to the podcast. All right, so Cam, what would be the next step for LiveFlight? I guess the next step, you've been advertising clearly, and I'm you invited me to be. I think all three of us are part of the beta team on that.
I sent you guys a build the other day. Yeah.
Yeah. So for the iOS app. Yes, you did.
Joe, you did. I've got it right here. It says you installed it.
Yeah, because he's the one that actually told me I had to slide it to the right instead of clicking.
That's true. I did.
The 3 lines.
But this iOS app's been anticipated now for a long time, especially since there actually was an iOS app right in the beginning. So why don't you tell us what we can expect going forward with this app that you're developing now?
Well, yeah, as the guys basically mentioned, I'm currently going through a bit of alpha testing. It's really quite basic right now. It still needs a lot of work. But the idea is that you can use the native app and you're going to get a lot of performance enhancements to start with. So it's not going to be like the web version where I'm actually limited by Google's API, and that's why it's a bit slow sometimes. But here it'll be nice and fast, and you will have access to a lot more features as well. So you've probably seen, if you follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, that I've also been working on a globe version to see it on. The idea behind this is, with worldwide coming, it might be quite cool to see your transatlantic flights or whatever you decide to do in the globe. So kind of similar to how you would see it in Google Earth. For now, I also looking at adding some airport charts as well. So if you listen back a couple of episodes, I was on here with some key members from the airport editing project. And the data that these guys are collecting is quite incredible. So it's open source, anyone can use it. So I am going to try and build some interactive charts so that you can see where you can park in every airport, and just get an idea of what it looks like in infinite flight. And yeah, progress is coming along on it. It still needs a lot of work, as I mentioned before, but I'm hoping maybe by the end of this month I can have it solid enough to send off to be reviewed by Apple.
So when you said parking, that kind of prompted another question. Do you think at some point you'd have the data to be able to, mixed with Kilt's charts that he's provided in the parking space data, would you be able to, as a pilot's taxiing, would they be able to see oh, someone's already, here's where you should go for that type of aircraft. Oh, but someone's already parked there, so you should park over here instead. Any of that kind of fun interactive stuff?
That's exactly what I'm planning. I'm planning to do this chart. I'm actually working with Kill on this. Kill has been experimenting with a new data source with me for this. And the plan is you can see the size of gate, what kind of aircraft it would accept. In the future, maybe the airlines that park there in real life, but that's a lot more data we need to collect. And yeah, I'm planning also doing an ATC mode for this. So if you're a ground controller, you can see exactly where the aircraft is, because I will also be drawing out the pavements and hopefully the lines as well. So it can also help you plan out your spacing a bit more. And in the future, I can probably do some spatial awareness and some checking to see if there is someone at the gate and tell you what's free and what's not.
Nice. Another question, Cam, that just popped into my head is we've said, I've been chatting a few times, just me and the other guys, and what would be, I think, really cool if you were an air traffic controller, say you're controlling tower or even ground, either of these would be awesome, is to have maybe a desktop app that you could use that would connect to your account and let you just open like a camera view on your computer, or maybe on just on another device even. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well,
do you think that could ever be supported?
It can be done in theory, but I think this is more something for Laura to take care of.
Okay.
I think that once they release the PC version for Windows, you will be able to just log into an airport. You don't have to select any frequencies. I think you can actually do this now on the iOS and Android apps, but you just go to the ATC page, select no frequencies, and you could just see the camera there.
Oh, right.
I think you've got access to the free cam as well. So I think that would be a possibility for the PC version of Infinite Flight. Otherwise, if I were to do it, I'd have to try and render everything like Infinite Flight does, and it's just duplicating the workload, really.
Okay.
The only thing I would say is you got to change the airplane icon colors. Right now, they look like a bunch of flamingos flying around.
Well, that's a good point you brought up, because I'm actually working on new icons for the iOS version. The idea behind them as well is they're going to have this. I mean, the current color, I just designed it a few months last year, a few months before I released it, just to have enough contrast between the normal map and the satellite map. But yeah. I agree that they don't look very nice. So I'm having new icons made right now. The plan is we will have different icons for different aircraft types, so you can instantly see what plane it is without actually having to tap it. And hopefully we can do a bit of coloring as well for the mods and that, so you can see who's flying there or who you need to watch out for.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so Cam, what type of technology were you using in LiveFlight, and how is it different than what you're using for the iOS build?
Well, if you listen back to the other episode, I talked briefly about how I'd built it up with a basic backend in Python, and the front end was in JavaScript and HTML. This time, as many of you are aware, I rewrote the web version, and I also built a new backend with that as well. So I've got a full backend written in Python, which is allowing me to do all sorts of stuff with the data, and has allowed me to introduce features like airports and runway information and things like that. In terms of the web version on the front end, it's still in JavaScript, but I've cut down on the HTML. It's basically using a library by Facebook called React, which is doing all the interface rendering, and I'm working with that a bit more in Node.js and that kind of syntax. And now that I've got all the backend built in Python, and I've got the possibility to add so much more with it, I'm now able to interact with that from the iOS version. In the iOS version, I'm aiming to try and build as much of it in Swift as I can, but there are still some parts which use lower level APIs, which are built in Objective-C, which is Apple's older programming language, which they replaced a couple of years ago. And well, they didn't replace, they introduced Swift alongside it a couple of years ago, which is meant to be a much more modern and easier language to use.
Did you catch all that, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you understand it?
No.
Oh well. Okay, basically, LiveFlight has a lot going on there. I mean, it took me 6 months to rebuild it. It was quite a big project. It's quite a lot to maintain still, and I've had to upgrade my infrastructure, like server side, quite a lot in the time. So just goes to show.
I heard you talking about Taylor Swift and snakes. I don't.
Oh well.
So yeah, guys, a ton of work's gone into this. Make sure you definitely go and subscribe to LiveFlight Horizon, and make sure you support Cam when the iOS app comes out.
I'm also working on an annual subscription as well. I've had quite a lot of people say that they'd rather pay for it all upfront, pay 12 months instead of each month. So that's something I'd like to introduce soon, and it definitely coming with the iOS version. So stay tuned. And another question a lot of people have asked as well is whether they can pay with gift cards. That will also be coming with the iOS version, as well as all the other cool features I'll be adding. Right.
Well, and with the iOS, you can redeem a gift card to use to buy anything, right? In the iTunes store, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it should just work.
Cool.
I got to say though, the KML is probably my favorite feature of it. I love that 3D tracking of the flight itself. It just looks so cool to be able to watch after you land, to see your flight from takeoff to landing in that 3D rendering that you offer. So that's pretty. I don't know how to explain it.
Ooh, Cam, speaking of that, you know what you need for this app? Synthetic vision.
Yep. Well, you've come to the right guy, because that's a work in progress.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
We might as well just end the podcast right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people can't land when it's clear skies. I mean, I don't know how synthetic vision is really going to help them.
Let's not bring Joshua into this, Mark, again.
Poor guy. Let's just leave him. Let's just leave him. But yeah, that's something I want to work on, but it's probably going to come in a future release, because I want something to release to the Infinite Flight community now, because I've been keeping you waiting with iOS for quite a while. So hopefully that can come soon.
Okay, awesome. Maybe it can be a paid add-on at some point.
It'll probably be for Horizon subscribers, but we'll see. We'll see close at time.
Okay. And so when we talk about iOS, what types of iOS devices will you support? Like, how do you draw the line with old and outdated technology?
Well, just to put it into perspective, I'm doing most of my testing on the first generation iPad mini and an iPhone 4S. So 4S, I'm using, that's what I've got available. I'm more, like, my phone's a OnePlus One. I use an Android mainly, but yeah.
The OnePlus One's awesome.
It is. Oh, well, that's for another day, because we've got a lot of iOS guys here, which will probably hate me for it. So yeah. So yeah, I'm using quite old devices, and I'm able to get fairly nice rendering with it. It struggles a bit sometimes with the glow, but I'm offering different rendering settings as well. So in theory, if you can get iOS 9, then you should be able to run it no problems.
Okay, fantastic. I got this question from Infinite Flight developer Laura Laban. She wants to know, when can you come and work for us? And she's dead serious.
Oh my gosh, she's always asking this. Well, Laura, I want to come and work for you. You could take my word for that seriously, but I've only got one more year left of high school. I'm going to finish that first, but then please get me out there. I'll come and work for you guys first day I can.
What you should do is you should enroll in school in San Francisco for university, and you can do both.
I could, or I could just remote work. It's probably cheaper, because your universities are over 70 grand a year. I mean, how can you afford that?
Well, that's the ones that you want to go to.
Yeah.
There's some community colleges that are like $200 a semester.
Joe speaking from experience.
Yeah. Joe, I could just come with Kentucky. I mean, I just
there
crash
you
on your
go.
Crash on your sofa.
Hey,
yeah.
it's a big couch. Plenty of room.
Kentucky State Community College.
Well, I'm not sure you fit the demographic for Kentucky State, but there is a Kentucky State.
Actually, Joe, wasn't that you in the DeVry ad maybe 10 years ago? The guy's like, I always wanted a cool job, and now I got one as an air conditioning specialist.
That's still a little advanced. He can't even
is-
convert Zulu time yet, so no, he didn't go to DeVry.
Joe, you can't do that. Oh my
No, no, I'm not even going there. I want to go back to your hillbilly accent, Jason.
Oh, I need to try harder. That one wasn't a good one. I get lots of practice listening to Mark.
I bet.
How am I a hillbilly? And Mobile is the flattest area of Alabama there is.
We don't listen. Of all people, Cam and I don't know the difference between a hillbilly and a redneck and a. I mean, it's all sort of the same thing, isn't it?
I know. Yeah. Anyway, can I just return to Laura's point?
Yeah. Sure.
It's something I want to do someday. I want to join Flying Development Studios and work with them someday. When that day will be, hopefully soon. But yeah, Laura, I'm coming. Don't worry.
All right, guys, let's get to some forum questions. We've got Riley asking, how long did it take you to develop the first version of LiveFlight?
Good question. The iOS version, I was working on it in and out over one summer, and the first iOS version and that was around a couple of months, but it was never actually finished. The web version, I had a working version after a weekend, and I had it released within a week, so quite quickly.
But you've done a lot of tweaks on it since then, though.
An awful lot. I mean, even since I released the new version last week, I've released about 5-6 small updates to the front end and about the same number to the back end as well. So I'm doing a lot of stuff, but it's usually in the back. You're not going to see it, but you'll probably notice it.
Yeah. So Nicholas is asking, what are some of the challenges and differences between making a website and an actual app? So I think I would assume that he means the LiveFlight website versus the LiveFlight app.
Yeah, I can imagine. Differences, this can be generalized quite a lot, but mainly when you're developing native for iOS or Android, you have a lot more access to the lower level operating system. So you can get improved performance from it. You can do many other cool things. The mobile web is developing and it is getting quite powerful, but there's still quite a lot of differences between writing it as a native app and as something you run on a website via another app. So who knows what I can do? I mean, I'm hoping to do something with rendering and with the globe. So like synthetic vision, like Jason mentioned earlier, which isn't something I could do easily with JavaScript and on a website, which would run nicely. So that's probably one of the main differences. Challenges, I think for both of them it's pretty much the same, but it's just developing for so many different devices. iOS is giving me a pain now because I haven't worked with iOS for over a year and a half or so, and since then you've got so many sizes of iPhone now. You've got the iPhone 4, then you've got the 5, then you've got the 6. You've got iPads of different sizes. You're just working with a lot now, so it's just finding a way to make the interface that will work nicely from your smallest iPhone 4S all the way up to the iPad Pro. So, and that's something that took a lot to get right on the web version. It's still not perfect, and it's something that I'm actually working quite a lot on the iOS version now.
Cool. So Steven's wondering, he says, well, I might as well ask an obvious question. Will there be an Android app after the iOS version is released and established? And actually, lots of people had this question.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people ask me that. I'd love to, but the simple answer is not anytime soon. I mean, there are a couple of reasons. I'll go through them. Firstly, Valve has released this excellent Infinite Tracker app on the Play Store. It's free to use and it's really powerful. So there's already an established tracker there. So it's not something that I'm looking at doing urgently because you can't access a tracker. And another reason why is I've got no experience at all with Android development, and from what I've heard, it's an absolute pain. So I'd rather not touch it. And third reason is I'm in my senior year of high school. I probably won't have that much time. I mean, I can maybe make tweaks here and there on the weekend if I get a bit of time, but I'm going to have a lot of other stuff on my mind. So it's not, I don't think I'll be able to build a whole new app on a brand new platform in that time. But as probably some of the more technologically knowledge people in the community may know, Swift, the language I'm mainly using for the iOS version, is open source. So I wouldn't be surprised if there would be a way to port that easily and try and get a similar kind of thing going without a lot more work. But we'll find out in the future. But short answer is not immediately. Sorry, guys. I mean, I'm an Android user as well. I'd love it, but yeah.
Okay. Another forum question. Rexton is wondering, did you need help at any point along this sort of development journey from Laura or Philippe?
Well, not really, because the main thing to bear in mind with this is that they're different languages. Infinite Flight's mainly built in C#, along with some other lower level stuff, and I'm not really working in C#. So for the web version and the iOS version, not really, no. I've just got Laura, who's supporting the Infinite Flight API that provides the data. Massive thanks to her for what she's doing with that. But in terms of the app themselves, not really. It did go through a bit with Laura on the Infinite Flight Connect API and how it worked exactly at first, because there wasn't actually any documentation provided. It was just a bunch of code, and you just had to work it out. So short answer is not really, but they're doing a lot behind the scenes to support LiveFlight and the other apps that other developers are building out there.
Nice. Mark or Joe, before we close things out, do you have any questions for Cam?
Nope, I don't have anything. I'm sure Joe does.
Well, where do I start? No, I'm good.
Have you ever tried rotisserie chicken?
Yes, I have.
All right. Cam, before we go, anything you'd like to add? Anything you want our listeners to know?
I just want to say thanks for everything you do with FlightCast, Jason. Seriously, you're doing. I mean, just seeing what you were saying earlier about showing your setup from the earlier days. I mean, you've improved. You've gone so far in this short journey. So seriously, it's amazing. There's some brilliant guests on here. So thanks so much for everything you do.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that. It's, I mean, you're a great example. FlightCast is an awesome example. We've got our amazing, of course, our airport editing team who do so much work behind the scenes, and we've highlighted them. And Laura and Philippe say this all the time. It's an amazing community full of people who really just want to donate their time and their talents that they've got to helping Infinite Flight be great. So, it's my pleasure.
It's great to see that. I mean, a lot of people may think that, the app's paid, why should we bother helping? But it's not about that really. It's about it's about finding somewhere to put your talent to use as well, finding new things you can learn, and yeah, it's actually there are a lot of opportunities within the Infinite Flight world which you can do, which you can learn, and which you can expand upon.
Yeah, agreed. Awesome. Well, Cam, thanks for coming back, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
Cheers.
Yeah, too bad you won't be able to join us in a couple of weeks in the undisclosed area
of America.
Yeah, we'll just say Area 51.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, wow.
Maybe someday, though.
Well, yeah, hopefully I can make my way out there.
There we go.
Well, Mark, if you find any signs of alien life or anything in Area 51, just let us know, okay?
Hell, all I got to do is go outside and I can find signs of alien life around here.
Just go, Mark just needs to go to Walmart in the middle of the night, and he's able to find it.
We can have Walmart in the middle of the day.
We can have a kegger at your community college when you get over here.
So surprising coming out of Joe.
Yeah.
I'll bring the fun.
Surprising isn't the word. Wow.
All right, guys, thanks a lot. That was LiveFlight developer, student, and Infinite Flight moderator Carmichael Alonso, and he joined us via Skype from his home in Spain. Be sure to check out liveflightapp.com when planning your next flight on Infinite Flight, and check out LiveFlight on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks as always for listening. If you haven't already, please head over to the App Store or Google Play and download Infinite Flight. For more of the podcast, visit our website and be sure to subscribe on iTunes or YouTube and hit that like button on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/FlightCastAudio, on Twitter at FlightCastAudio, and now on Instagram at FlightCast. FlightCast is brought to you by Linkhouse Media on the web at linkhousemedia.com. We can always use your financial support to help keep the podcast rolling, and a few ways to do that are by clicking the donate button at the bottom of our brand new website or by heading to flightcast.audio/shop to buy your t-shirt, hat, mug, or iPhone case. To cover the fine print, FlightCast is not affiliated with Infinite Flight or Flying Development Studio. I'm Jason Rosewell. Thanks for listening, and happy landings. We can always help. Almost. All right. Good.
Uh-oh.
What?
Nothing. Go ahead.
It won't work.
I'm going to have to edit that.
Is that what
blood
you're
of
going to say,
this.
Joe? Yeah, you are.
It's going to take me 4 hours to edit.
If we have a 25-minute podcast after this, then brilliant.
Yeah. So, Cam, what inspired the idea to build LiveFlight in the first place?
It actually started off.
Cam?
There you go.
Yep. That's what happens.
He must be
That
using the
is
life. He
funny
must be using
as hell.
LiveFlight Connect.
Just broke the
to
internet.
Connect to this call. Yeah, there you go.
Well, everyone, thanks for listening.
That's freaking hilarious.
Happy landings. Is he still on the call?
You left out the FlightCast is in no way affiliated with Infinite Flight.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
in no way affiliated with LiveFlight either.
Especially important currently.
Yeah.
This is the most unprofessional podcast on the internet.
This is freaking classic.
Oh man.
Awesome. Hey, let's just start answering questions for him. What inspired the idea to build LiveFlight?
Well, I haven't finished yet, so crikey.
Crikey.
Oh, crikey.
Well,
Cam.
I'm still trying to work on the app that I released when I was 3 years old.
Hello, governor. Would
Wow.
you like a download?
I'm going to boot him from the call and try and add him again. Oh, I can't.
He broke Skype too?
Uh-huh. Cam.
Wait, what has happened?
Oh, he can hear everything we're saying.
Oh, great.
Oh, good.
Well, let's just text him the questions and then,
Yes. We can have
he
the
can
robot
text the
read it back.
Yeah, I'll
crap.
do the Siri voice for the read back.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey,
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you for the next 3 minutes.
that was awesome.
Oh my gosh. I was just wondering what was going on there. I mean, I was asking you guys, what are you saying? What you were on about? I thought you could
Using
still
a
hear
payphone in Spain or what? Did you
You gotta
forget to
get out
enter in?
of the leave the phone booth.
Someone was really angry that they wanted to use the phone booth.
Yes. You gotta put more pounds in.
So
Euros.
what's awesome, Cam, is that I said, what inspired the idea to build LiveFlight? And you
No,
said, well, it all started, and then that was it.
I know. It couldn't have been timed more perfectly.
Yeah. Put this at the end. I am dead. Okay, so
This is gonna, this is gonna be the longest blooper I've ever added to the end of a podcast episode.
oh my gosh. Right.